Nerds, episode number 4 from this past Friday night with Mark and Brendan. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Sesternino here for a moment as we are getting ready for the King of the Nerds episode number 5 recap from season 3. And tonight I will not be joining you for this recap. Jessica Leese is going to be filling in for me, and she's going to be talking with Brendan and Mark. I am getting ready to move this weekend, and this is actually the last thing I'm going to be recording ever in the RHAP's current iteration of my studio. So this is a little bit of a Goonies moment, because by the time you'll be hearing me again, I'll be in another school in another town with new friends, and this is it for me here. But you are going to get to hear all about King of the Nerds here tonight, and then I'll be back next week, hopefully without any interruption in the rest of the podcast schedule. So I want to thank those guys for filling in for me tonight and getting you guys caught up with King of the Nerds from this weekend. I also want to thank our sponsor for this episode of Rob as a Podcast, which are our friends over at NatureBox, because whether you're on the move or not, NatureBox is a great healthy snack that you can have anytime, because life's hectic, people are busy, you need to make smart snacking choices so you don't end up turning into kind of a mess, and when you're hungry, you're not thinking clearly, and that's why NatureBox, you have it on hand, and you don't have to think, and you're eating great stuff. So do what I do, get healthy and delicious snack options at naturebox.com. Hundreds of nutritionists approved snacks. NatureBox has something for everybody. No artificial flavors, no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, 0 grams trans fat, and no high fructose corn syrup. So avoid the afternoon slump and go ahead and grab some sriracha roasted cashews, some pistachio power clusters, or my favorite, the dark cocoa almonds. And you can get a chance to try some NatureBox for free with a free trial box featuring 5 of the most popular snacks. You heard me, free snacks. Start your free trial right now by going to naturebox.com/RJP. You know you're going to snack. Get smart about it with NatureBox. Be smart enough to be on the King of the Nerds. Go to naturebox.com/RJP and get a free trial box of delicious snacks. That's it for me. Enjoy the podcast with Jess, Mark, and Brendan, and I will be back to talk to you guys about everything next week in the new Rob as a Podcast studios.
Coming to you live from someplace where we steal lines from Rob. It is Rob Has a Podcast recap of King of the Nerds minus Rob. I am Jessica Leese. I sound nothing at all like the man in plaid, but I am filling in for him while he works on his move. And with me, as always, is the 2 biggest, nerdiest nerds in the Nerdiverse. We have Mark Solera and Brendan Noel. Hello, guys. How are you this evening?
Great to hear from you. I wouldn't have known you weren't Rob from your introduction. I thought that was as good of an impression as last week when Rob did his Tarantino impression.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure you're wearing plaid too, right?
I'm always wearing plaid. It's kind of just a secret tribute to Rob.
It's a podcast attire, really.
Yeah, you have to slip into the uniform to slip into the persona.
Absolutely, 100%.
You might even term it like cosplaying Rob.
Well, there you go. Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Get into it.
So, big shocking elimination. I guess our top story this evening. The Secret Six takes their first blow. How are you guys feeling about this?
I think, Mark, you have a lot of opinions about this. Go for it.
Oh my gosh. First off, I'm really excited to, as much as I am a fan of Jonathan, I'm sort of sad to see the Secret Six go, especially with who ended up going to this week, because quite frankly, Brendan, I don't know if you agree with me, I think she's probably one of the most polarizing characters on the show, you would say?
We're referring to Heather?
Yeah, we're referring to Heather, the boot for the Secret Six.
Yeah, I mean, polarizing, I think, is a good way to put it. I don't know how many of the viewers necessarily are kind of anti-Heather, or at least, if people are anti-Secret Six, certainly. But I think, I would be confused by the people who are not sad to see her go. I think that she was by far one of the more entertaining characters this season, and the show going to be at a loss without her, which is really too bad.
It's almost like season 1 when you lost Virgil, or in season 2 when you lost Zach. It just seems like you lost probably your biggest character, and I'm kind of really unsure about where the show is going to go from here in terms of the personalities, but I have hope.
Well, the show did perfectly well in season 1, and it did perfectly well in season 2. If you lose your biggest character, usually that gives the other characters a little time to shine, and I thought it was particularly interesting this week. We got to hear from a couple of characters that have been sort of in the background up until this point. Like, in particular, I was like, wait, there's a person on this show named Rachel? Where's she been?
I thought there were 11 cast members. It turns out there were 12.
Yeah, I thought she was on her way out because all of a sudden she's getting like a giant edit.
Yeah, and like you, I know you said on Twitter, you saw that, you noticed there were the 5 other Secret Six members sort of meeting and plotting without her. So, yeah, it could have been very much a tell that she was not long for Nirvana.
Yeah, well, that was my first question. They were saying that the Secret Six has never had an opportunity to all be in the same place at the same time to plot. And now they've got 5 of them. Is there some sort of house rule about how many nerds can be in the room at one time?
There might be too. If you have too many nerds in one room, it might cause a full nerd gasm, and that might just be too much. So they could have like sort of weight limits, like in an elevator or something. I'm not totally sure. I've never been to Nirvana. I'd love to go and get these sort of inside scoop on things like that. Yeah, I find it hard to believe that the 6 of them have. Well, I don't know. I mean, it is a lot of people, and it's a big group, and it could look suspicious, I suppose. But yeah, it is interesting that, the Secret Six Alliance was formed, episode 2? So it is interesting that they have not really, 6 of them kind of met together yet. So it's interesting. I mean, the strategy was working for them, but yeah, interesting that this was the first time we saw that.
I mean, how hard is it to keep an alliance of 6 people going if you don't talk to all of them at once? Like, don't you think that might fracture the trust at some point?
I think it's very difficult, and I think it's not surprising that, even some of the people who are more the formative members of the alliance, people like Jonathan, can have their doubts if some people just kind of have to be like the middleman between everyone in the conversation. I mean, I'm sure there are people in the Secret Six who haven't had a conversation with certain other people in the alliance. Like, if Rachel had ever had a conversation with, there's certain people from the opposite team in terms of the strict team lines that I wouldn't be surprised if she had just never said a word to about this alliance. It was just sort of like a mutual understanding that they're working together, but hadn't actually got together. Like, so Secret Six, huh? Pretty cool. Like, I don't think that's necessarily happened.
Yeah, I think it does, and it does lend an interesting angle of strategy. This is like the thing that Survivor One World always wanted to be, where they're sticking everybody in one house, they all live together, they all eat together, they function as kind of one big group, but then they do have these team factions, and it's very interesting to me to see how that plays out, and how some of the strongest friendships end up being kind of cross-team.
How sad is it that they had this big, ambitious plan for Survivor One World, and then this other show from Jeff Probst's beloved 5x5 Media comes along and just accidentally does it better. Way better.
That has got to sting. And plus, it's nerds. Like, how much... You know how Jeff Probst feels about nerds.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I was really surprised to see him tweet that out at all. I thought he would. I mean, it could have been totally ironic. Like, jeez, check out this nerd show, guys. You're totally going to love this. All the nerds are going to stay on the Friday nights and watch this. Yeah, we are Jeff Probst, and we're going to love it.
Yeah, and we're going to podcast about it, too.
Absolutely we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's get right into... We get pulled into, what do you guys call this generally when they all get summoned onto the front steps of Nerdvana? Is there a name for this?
Brendan, is there a name? I don't think there is a name. They get a nerd alert. I think they used to call it that, I think, early in season 1, and they don't really reference it anymore. That, like, when he gets on the bullhorn and says, "Calling all nerds," I think that they would refer to it as a nerd alert. I don't know how often they call it that anymore. But yes, they get summoned into the front courtyard, I guess, as it were, to be informed of what the week's nerd war is.
Yeah, and almost immediately, it's not as interesting as the past few have been. They're just standing there in, like, civilian clothes.
I always like I think there was an episode last season, it might have been the debate episode, where they come out and they see Bobby and Curtis just wearing suits, and that is like more of a sign that things are potentially troubling or wrong than if they came out and saw Curtis wearing like octopus tentacles, which is one of the many reasons I love this show.
Yeah, it is like they slipped into the mirror universe there for a second.
Yeah. Like Brian last season, I think they came out and they saw them in their suits, and Brian said, "Oh, I think we're having an accounting challenge."
I love that. And so they've also got a giant box.
It's a mystery box. It's almost like the mystery box challenges they get on MasterChef, except it was pretty heavily implied there was a dead body in the box. It turns out there wasn't a dead body in the box, which is pretty good because I think that would have made King of the Nerds a very different type of show. But some definite implications that maybe there needed to be air holes in it.
Yeah, well, did you notice there was an arrow on the bottom of the box, like through this end up, and it was pointing the wrong way?
Wait, what? Oh, I noticed that was clever. That's very clever. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, I'm guessing there was nobody actually in the boxes out in front. Like, later on when they're indoors, there's people in the boxes, but at that point they bring up it's party games, and where does your head immediately go when you hear party games?
I wasn't actually sure what to think. I feel like they were kind of vague, more vague than they typically are about a nerd war, that I wasn't exactly sure where they were going at, and they didn't seem to know either, because suddenly their minds just sort of started going to any possible kind of board tabletop game that you could think of. And this was I'm not the nerdiest nerd guy. I readily admit that, like, I would do terribly on this show. And so they start throwing out the names of all these games, and there's like, you know, there's certain games like Settlers, like I've heard of, but then like they were throwing out some games that I'd never heard of before, and so I realized very immediately, like, oh, I would be very lost here, and they seem to be as well. They kind of had a lot of material that they had potential to study from.
Brandon, you're telling me you haven't played the Star Wars board game yet?
Which I feel like there are 10 million Star Wars board games, like which
there probably is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is there a Star Wars Episode 7 board game that they got early access to? I mean,
do they really even do themed board games around movies and shows anymore, or do they just like reskin a Monopoly board?
I think that's more likely what you do. You'll get, like, I remember when I was a kid, we had like a Star Wars battleship game that was pretty cool. But I don't think they would, like, you'd have to invent like new rules for a game, and nobody really wants to learn that. But you know, yeah, if I can pass go and collect 200 Chewbacca dollars, I'm good with that.
I mean, I think it's more common to have. I mean, from what I've seen when I go into like these gaming stores, I think it's a little more common to see movies. Like, the weirdest thing that I've seen going into a gaming store is actually seeing a 50 Shades of Grey board game.
Ew.
Yeah.
How many players?
Is this a PG-13 podcast? Or?
It's going to be an X-rated podcast if we go on.
Yeah. Let's just stop right there.
50 Shades of Nope.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah. That does not surprise me, to be honest.
Yeah. So I think it's a little more common to when they were trying to think about these board games. I think Heather had the right idea of going into like these kind of broad things, like, oh, Star Wars. Okay, let's think what kind of things Star Wars related can we have with board games. But then again, when we look at what eventually happened, it seems like more common stuff, right?
Yeah. Now, can you explain to me what was the point of like writing out everybody's weaknesses on the whiteboard?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that too, because I felt like it was like Amanda had this idea to be like, okay, let's write down like what our weaknesses are on the whiteboard, which felt like just kind of I don't know, like an easy way to admit that like she was going to be bad at this challenge because she was not very big into games. But I felt like, I mean, they kind of edited around it a little bit. You couldn't see it very clearly, but if you looked at what people wrote on the whiteboard, I felt like a lot of people had listed as weakness like video games or games of some kind. So it felt like just like the green team got together and wasted 10 minutes being like, yeah, we're going to be really, really bad at this challenge. And they ultimately ended up not being terrible, but they did lose. So yeah. Poor Team Smash.
It's been a rough go of things for Team Smash.
Yeah, certainly. That after last week as well.
I would say right out of the gate, they get in there, they're wondering who their celebrity guest is going to be, and I'm sitting there thinking, Yes, please make it Moby. I just want Moby to move into the house and mess with them constantly.
Can you imagine if, like, let's say Hula Vu picked like the person from Under the Dome, and then Smash got stuck with Moby? Can you imagine the reactions from everyone on Team Smash?
I just think that would have been the best thing, is if they just, they're like, okay, you picked the right box, and it's Moby again. And suddenly, like, it's just like every week, they work Moby in somehow, just as, like, the ultimate troll. That would have been the most amazing thing. King of the Nerds would have been automatically the best show on TV from that point on.
It's true. Every show needs a good villain.
I love the fact that it would be Moby, celebrity guest judge, not even a contestant on the show. They should be like, what if just Moby were there to insult them all week after week? Wouldn't that be like a fun new twist to the show? And he'd be like grandfathered in for next season when they get renewed. Like, this would be, ratings would skyrocket, let me tell you.
They should just have him like sitting in the corner, give him his own little perch, and give him some vegan snacks, and just have him heckle them.
Yeah, it would be like on American Idol when they started going to like Jimmy Iovine every week for like additional judging, and they basically turned into like, when they got the panel of like Randy Jackson and Steven Tyler, who wouldn't say anything but just ridiculous praise to the contestants, they would go to this guy to just insult them all. So I'd be like, yeah, they should do that. I'd be like, all right, and now for his weekly commentary, it's Moby.
It's like the Statler and Waldorf of the King of the Nerds.
Ooh, yes. Okay, who is his partner? Do we have another? Is it Kevin Smith comes back?
It probably is Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
And they just make fun of them, and Genevieve cries about it in her weekly Viv in the Valley recap. Nerds in a nanosecond. There we go. There you go. You got it.
And they constantly question their nerd cred, and they'll be cursing them out in Klingon. And
no, they would not be fans of the pop culture references.
well, it's just not. There's too many pop culture references and not enough hard nerd.
No, Matt the Little Idiot sure knows his nerd stuff. You know that was his Twitter handle, Moby @ the Little Idiot.
I did not, but that seems so appropriate.
Well, you're talking to the biggest Moby fan.
You are #1 Moby fan right here. I'm gonna change my Twitter handle to @ the Little Idiot's #1 fan. Hopefully that's not already taken.
That's a lot of characters, dude.
Yeah.
You guys know I met Moby once.
Whoa, what? Yeah, let's hear this story.
You know, he played a concert at my college in the fall of 2000. And I covered it for the newspaper, and I got to bring my little mini cassette recorder and have him record a little station bump for our radio station. And he came into our dark room in our newspaper office, and he drew this big thing on the wall in magic markers.
Was he nice, or was he being a Moby Dick?
He was a little standoffish, but he was overall, like, he was just so low-key, we couldn't really get much out of him. He just kind of walked into the darkroom and started drawing on the wall. And I don't really know what was up with that.
Were you mentioning your, like, pop culture stuff? Like, that probably offended him.
Yeah, it might have hurt his feelings a little bit. Like, he seemed, like, really out of sorts. Just gonna go in the corner and draw something.
Now, another celebrity you've met in real life, I believe, is one of our celebrity guests tonight, is Penn Jillette, correct?
Yeah. Now, of all of the weeks to have me sub for Rob on Robin's podcast, this is the week you want me, because this is the week they got my celebrity crush to go on the show.
So you're the #1 expert on Penn Jillette, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I would not go so far as to say I'm the #1 expert, but I do really love the heck out of the guy. He's a podcaster, I'm a podcaster. He's snarky, I'm snarky. He likes to yell at people, I like to yell at people.
I thought Penn Jillette was a fun guest because I felt like he brought a kind of similar energy to Moby last week, in the sense that, like, he clearly, like, doesn't really know what this show is. He's not, like, taking it super seriously, and, like, I don't know, he didn't seem like that excited to be there. He seemed a little kind of like making fun of the whole thing, but he was, like, at least having fun. He didn't seem like he was just absolutely hating life being there.
Well, one thing you gotta know about Penn Jillette, that dude will show up to anything if you invite him. He has been on every single reality show known to humankind. Like, Celebrity Apprentice is the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
If you listen to his podcast, like, every week it seems like he's on about some new reality program that he got suckered into being on, and this is no exception here. So, a guy that's done a stint on Celebrity Wife Swap and I think Celebrity Top Chef. There's some cooking competition he was on, and I don't know.
I forgot that Celebrity Wife Swap was a show. Now I'm sad.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. We'll press on somehow.
Yeah, and it was a thing where they tried to make it out like the people he was swapping with hated him and he hated them. It turned out they were actually friends and they couldn't do anything with it. So.
Are you telling me reality TV is edited to misconstrue what actually happened?
Well, other shows are. King of the Nerds never ever is.
Thank God. King of the Nerds would never lie to us.
Yeah. Alright, so which team do you feel like won the initial box selection? Like, one team gets Penn, one team gets Rando Chick from Under the Dome and one of the Twilight movies.
Yeah. I mean, you're inclined to say Pendula just because that was who ended up winning the challenge, but now I'm trying to go back and think, like, who was kind of, individually, who was more successful in sort of getting results with the team. I mean, like, Mark, do you recall, like, do you think Rochelle Lefebvre was specifically better in the party, in the games night games than Penn Jillette was? I mean, regardless of the fact that Hulu beat Smash in the end.
I mean, if I was on the show, I would actually be more excited for Rochelle because she was actually, I mean, from what it seemed like anyways, she seemed way more into obviously Penn seemed like he was into it, but in a different way, but she was really into it. Like, she was, like, when she was doing, like, the pantomiming stuff, she was doing motions, like out of nowhere, and it was, to me, I thought Smash ended up winning this whole thing.
She felt a little more kind of mobile and adept than Penn Jillette, which, like, is kind of understandable because Penn Jillette is kind of a big guy. Like, you met him. I mean, Penn Jillette is what, 6'6", something like that. I was surprised he even fit in that box.
They just did an extra large box for Penn.
Yeah, he was definitely, like, crouching when he came out of the box. I'm sure he didn't have to stand in there for more than a few minutes because he was just like, okay, I'm going to get a sore neck if I'm in here too long.
Yeah, that's definitely not in his contract. And, yeah, he just kind of, I feel like Penn's role in any one of these shows is just to show up and, like, do what he's told. And in that capacity, he did okay, but Rochelle actually seemed like she was contributing something on a deeper level.
Yeah, a little bit. It's, again, Rochelle Lefebvre, not the most, like, dynamic bit of guest casting on the show. I mean, Under the Dome is, like, a vaguely successful show. I mean, that aside from the fact that, I mean, like, if you are watching and enjoying Under the Dome still, you are spending your free time incorrectly. But, I mean, I think Rochelle Lefebvre is probably not the worst actor on that show. And in terms of nerd cred, she's probably better than what's his face from True Blood that they got on the premiere episode this season. But and yeah, I think you're right that she went for it. She was trying and she was definitely having fun. She had her good line in about Penn was saying something about how they were going to totally win and it was no contest. And she was like, well, they can have their illusions, and it's like
funny joke.
Well played.
Well done, Rochelle Lefebvre.
Did they miss out on an opportunity to have one team get totally screwed by having the other celebrity not be Teller?
Well, I thought that would have been great. Like, because here's the thing. Obviously, Teller can probably do the Panta-Nerd Challenge, and he can probably do Pixo Nerdy, but when it comes to the Name the Nerd Challenge, I mean, Teller was not going to go full Colby on that challenge.
Oh.
No, certainly.
I'm going to start going full Colby on this podcast.
I think you should.
I love the term full Colby because that guy is so intense. Oh my God.
Also, I feel like up until this episode, I don't think we'd seen a quarter Colby on the show before. This was like the first time all season I felt like we got some good like Colby stuff. That was very clever or very funny set tonight.
I mean, honestly, I've been very fond of Colby this entire competition. Like, he's just a charming little dude. But yeah, we've never seen him go beast mode.
No, I feel like Colby's a good guy and certainly is entertaining, and it's not his fault that the editors are just not deciding to give him any screen time this season. That's been what I'm disappointed is. I feel like he's bringing something to the table, and we're not seeing it partially at the expense of the fact that he's not in the Secret Six Alliance, and the people who are not, like even Caitlyn is not really getting screen time as much as the other six, just because she's generally not in the strategizing scene. So that's been disappointing.
And if we look back, like if we started this like at the beginning and we looked forward, like you would honestly think that Colby might have been in like the Zach role in the sense that he was going to be like this most polarizing figure just on paper alone. But yet he's just like, this is probably like his best episode, you would say? Like, this is the episode that he's like stood out.
Yes, by far, this is like the most screen time he's gotten, the most. I mean, here's the thing: we go from no Colby, we don't even really know who this guy is. Basically, like even last week, like as part of the nerd off, like we're trying to get like the most minuscule amounts of backstory, and we barely know who this guy is. And now we're opening the episode, and it's not even that he's like becoming a badass; it's that he's literally quoting Omar from The Wire.
Yeah.
Like that is 0 to 100 in 5 seconds.
It's true. It's a side of Colby that I think we've missed up until this point, and hopefully now we've lost 2 pretty big characters back to back in Ori and Heather, and I think we're gonna have a lot more screen time freed up now to get to know some of these other characters.
Yeah, it's definitely just the inevitability of the numbers is that the fewer people you get, that we're now going to get more screen time for these people deeper into the season. And yeah, I think it's a side. I mean, I don't have really strong memories of Colby's run on Jeopardy. I'm sure you guys probably saw more of that than I did, but I think we knew from Jeopardy that he had a bit of an attitude, or at least an edge to him.
You know, I gotta make a confession. I have not regularly watched Jeopardy since I was on Jeopardy, and I think it's something that you really don't understand until you go on Jeopardy, and you lose, and you never want to see the show again.
That's understandable, yeah.
Tell me about how Colby was on Jeopardy. I would like to know.
There's like this super clip of just like the Colby reactions on his Jeopardy run.
And his Twitter picture, like him standing behind the podium, and he has like his eyebrow raised, like he's reacting to something very broadly. It seems.
By the way, that's a parody account.
It is a account, okay.
Yeah. The thing is with Colby, like most of his like reactions, it is the best part. You can't like listen to the video. You have to literally watch it and just look at his face when he's like responding. It's the most like Heather's sassy, but he is on par with Heather in regards to how sassy he can get, and it's great.
Speaking of great Colby reactions, I love tonight when it was one of the rounds was ending, and there were like 2 seconds left on the clock, and again he's about to go like full Colby, and he like is like ripping. I think it was during the pick so nerdy jump, because he was ripping the paper down, and then like the horn went off, and it was like time, and like just the drop in his face. Like I need a gif of that, just like describe my feelings when I'm like at this like supreme level of elation and just like get brought back to earth.
Yeah, he seems like just a gift machine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I hope we see more of that in the coming weeks because, yeah, clearly there is something there, and the editors need to start giving it to us. I think they started tonight, and you know, now, like Caitlin, he's won 2 nerd offs back to back and proven himself a competitive threat. Not that, again, $375,000 on Jeopardy is not going to prove somebody as a competitive threat, but I think on the TV show King of the Nerds, we're going to start seeing that.
Which is good, because I think there was some question in the beginning of whether or not Colby was going to even fit in among the nerds, because he's just a trivia guy. And
I pegged him as a second boot.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest.
Yeah, so was I. I did not expect him to make it past the sort of halfway point, as it were, at least in terms of episodes where we're past the halfway point. But, so yeah, I mean, good for him.
So let's talk about the most valuable and least valuable players in this particular challenge. Because I think Colby might actually win both most valuable and least valuable.
I think that's actually a fair assessment, because there were a lot of times when Colby excelled in this challenge, and just as many times when he fell flat on his face.
Yeah, most inexplicable bow tie drawing ever? Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, I mean, he messed up like the drawing of like the triangle on the other side. It was almost like he was drawing like a rewind button or like a fast forward button. He needed to go like pointing the 2 ways. He needed to draw a Bobby is what he needed to do. And then he would have said, okay, got it, bow tie. Eventually he was just scribbling all over the page. I don't know what was happening there.
Yeah, someone thought he was drawing Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, which I feel like that had already come up in a clue. There were some interesting guesses that came up that almost like cringeworthy. I mean, when they were doing Pantanerd later, and was it Colby who had Alien and was trying to? I think he was trying to do like the alien coming out of the chest thing, and it was not like super loud, but you could hear somebody guess Steve Irwin. And I kind of thought, like, ooh, like I'm not generally a too soon guy, but it felt kind of like, oh man, that was kind of in poor taste, wasn't it?
A little bit. Plus, everyone knows that if you're doing Alien, you just stick your fist up under your shirt.
Yes, exactly. And like when we're doing nerdy references, I don't think of the Crocodile Hunter.
No.
And by the way, Caitlin's interpretation of The Walking Dead, she might be my least valuable player just for that alone.
That was quite bad. We can also, I think, talk about Amanda as least valuable player for not recognizing Heather's clues for the book that she apparently named her child after.
Yeah. Well, that was a kind of a inexplicable acting out
difficult.
of that. Yeah.
Yes, I see where Heather was trying to go for that, but like that was a context we had never seen it before. I don't think we knew too much about Amanda's personal life so far, so we didn't really like have a way to really play along with that though. But of course, it did give us the Heather confessional, and also gave us this week's hashtag, which is loin product.
Loin product.
Oh, that's so great. That is Exhibit A of why the show is just going to be worse off without Heather on it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a disaster, but it's going to be lesser without her there.
The one other least valuable player moment has to be when they were coming up with individual words to describe one of the celebrity nerd clues, and for William Shatner we get nipples.
Somebody keeps throwing nipples to Ben, and it's like becoming this very distracting thing for him. We've got the Minotaur from a couple weeks back. Ben is just going to be having these Nerdvana nightmares where all he sees is nipples, and it's not going to be good for his game.
I mean, Rochelle, obviously, the person that said that was Rochelle, and I mean, can you blame her? I mean, if you see William Shatner's nipples, I would be distracted too.
I don't know that I know what his nipples look like.
Yeah, I can't say that I do either. That was clearly a very isolated, I think, kind of reference for Rachel. But, again, I think I agree. I'm not going to deny that it was clearly traumatizing for her.
Okay.
It probably was.
Don't ever Google William Shatner shirtless.
I had no plans to. I'm glad you confirmed it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing... These are not strange Minotaur nipples here. These are normal.
Okay.
I just verified.
How old is Shatner in the pictures you're seeing right now? Are we talking Shatner Star Trek days or current, like, 80-something Shatner?
I'm getting a range of Shatners here. I see some T.J. Hooker Shatner, I'm seeing some Kirk Shatner, and there's Shatner now, and can't unsee that. I have what you might term the comprehensive Shatner nipple view, and there's nothing remarkable about these nipples.
So, will you agree with Rochelle?
I'm not traumatized. I'm not actually traumatized by these nipples. There have been previous ones, and in fact, on this very show, there have been traumatic nipples, and Shatner doesn't even break the top 10. Oh, and there's Nimoy's nipples, just for equality's sake.
You are listening to Rob as a Podcast, 3-time podcast award winner.
Oh, Rob's never going to let me run the show again.
We're all going to be fired after season 2.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's close this window now and return to the challenge. And it ended up being a pretty close challenge, although I liked Penn's enthusiasm going into the final challenge with his assertion that they really need to beat the other team by a lot if they want to feel good about it. I thought that was great sportsmanship there.
Now, I was confused because, like, at first I thought that's what he was saying, that they just wanted to beat them by a lot to feel really good. But then I was trying to do the math. Maybe I interpreted this totally wrong. You guys are going to have to correct me. But it looked like going into that team, Hulu was on 300, and I think Smash was on 490.
Yep.
So I thought, they were saying, like, okay, you're going to have to get this many right. I guess it would have been 20 questions right to take the lead or something like that. But I thought what I heard Penn say was like, or 12 to feel really good about it, which I thought, like, doing the math, he was making like a sly 420 reference or something.
Oh, Penn wouldn't do that, though. He doesn't use drugs.
I think so. Yeah, I didn't. That didn't seem like a thing that I knew about him, but so I think I did just kind of hear that wrong or do the math wrong. You know, I remember watching episodes of the show last season that had math problems and being entirely wrong on them. So it's just likely that I just don't know basic addition.
So what you're saying is like the math portion of the King of the Nerds competition straight over your head.
Oh, right over my head. I mean, if King of the Nerds, if King of the Nerds was the SAT, zero math and who knows how many verbal. I mean, maybe 500 if I was lucky.
Yeah, well, I noticed this week that there was a lot of really cryptic, like even going into the Nerd Off, they didn't really give you a lot to work with, and going into this challenge, there wasn't a lot to work with, and it felt to me a lot like they didn't have a great challenge to begin with, so they just decided to pretend it was a mystery challenge and make everybody feel like they were getting a pleasant surprise.
It almost felt like if we were to put this in a Survivor sense, like this would have been the reward challenge to a pot instead of it being a immunity challenge. It wasn't the best. So yeah, keeping it cryptic probably kept some suspense. But it's from, if you look back, there are other challenges. I mean, if we look at the other challenges, would you say that this is probably one of the worst?
This is one of the weakest, for sure.
Yeah, the thing I noticed that I think it was when they came back at the beginning of the episode from the Ori Colby challenge. So it was the night before they found out they were going to do this. They talked about how you want to play this game? You want to set this up? So it seemed like this was kind of like something they'd done in reaction to almost like House of Fantasy. It felt like, on Big Brother when they'd be like, Big Brother's been watching you play Coaster Toss all summer long, and now we're going to play that for the Power Veto in the backyard. So it seemed like just something they kind of threw together last minute, and for being thrown together last minute, it wasn't terrible, but yeah, it was certainly, it was not the most it did not require more than 20 minutes of a meeting to just sort of figure out the ins and outs of this challenge, I don't think.
Yeah, that's very true. It's also similar to the Amazing Race challenge we had this season where they came into a detour and all they knew about the detour was this or that.
Yeah.
Wow, that is, 25 seasons in, it gets a little tricky maybe to come up with options, but that's, wow.
It's excusable when you've had 25 seasons. Maybe not so much if you're only on your third.
Yeah, clearly they, if they're already resorting to just what are they doing in the house? Can that be a challenge? Can we get this done at 9 a.m. tomorrow?
Yeah, someone go to Walmart and look at all the board games.
Yeah, what can we do? One day for the King of the Nerds production assistants.
Maybe it was raining outside. Maybe that was it.
It could have been. I don't think it generally rains in Southern California, but it's certainly, it could have been the rare off rainy day they had in July.
Sure, they don't plan for these things because they don't think they're going to happen. And then where does that get you? You have to play Pictionary with, two C-list celebrities.
I don't know. We can't bump Penn Jillette up to a B-.
Okay, Penn can be a B-.
Okay, I'm totally fine with Rochelle Lefevre being a C-list star.
All right.
Yeah.
Star is a term we use kind of loosely here.
In quotes.
Yeah. So, Hulu basically totally lays waste to this competition, and Smash is going to go into the Dirt Off, and I want to talk a lot about the actions. This is the meat of the podcast right here. We're down to Shatner's nipples here. This is
oh my god.
This is some real level 1 strategy happening here, and I thought this was very, very interesting. And Mark, you seem to have a very deep emotional reaction to this. I want to hear your take.
Because going into this, after we found out that Smash ended up losing, my immediate reaction was, most likely Smash is going to vote for, Hulavu is going to vote for Colby, and then they're going to vote for each other. And most likely Jonathan was going to go in. So going into this, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my winner pick. I'm going into this knowing that fact. But just how it all went down and everything that happened, my jaw was literally on the floor with what ended up happening. I don't know about you, Brendan, if you saw this happening, but I didn't.
No, I didn't either. We saw kind of they went to, before they were going to commercial, we saw Jonathan kind of blow up the alliance to Caitlyn, whatever he was able to orchestrate there, somehow managed to put the target squarely on Heather, which is a great move for him. I think that in terms of people who are threatening to him or anyone in the game, I think Heather's got to be up there. So yeah, that was a good play by him for sure.
It was a very Heisenberg-esque moment. Like he just, I'm just gonna throw shit to the wind and hopefully something sticks, and it did.
Yeah, he found himself backed up against the corner, and yeah, some people have the strategy in this game of just being like Colby and just like you got to do what you got to do and win every nerd off, and that strategy is poor because like eventually you're going to lose. So it's obviously in his best interest right now to stay out of the nerd offs as much as he can, because obviously then he's not going to go home. So I'm still not 100% sold on Jonathan as the winner of the season, because I think that's far too obvious, but. I'm not gonna sit here and not give him any credit for some really great gameplay, because of course that was a really great night. I just feel like based on the previous two seasons, that's far too obvious. I think if he gets it.
To be fair, you are right. Knowing the King of Nerds editing staff will probably end up somehow having like Lily as our winner after all this.
You know who I think is gonna win this season? Obi. That's who I think is going to win season 3 of King of the Nerds.
I think Rachel, because we haven't, they just added her this week, apparently.
Yeah, she was like an intruder on the foreign Big Brother versions. You're like, whoa, who's this new character? We haven't seen you before.
Yeah. So, we saw the seeds of this counter-alliance forming a little bit last week, but it seems like this week it really started to take off. And I think at 8, it's a little bit of a risky proposition to form an alliance of 4 to take out an alliance of 6. But I thought it was kind of masterful the way that he drew it all out on the whiteboard.
Yeah, I like that. That was very interesting the way and it almost is like what, we saw earlier in the episode, the confessional kind of was like laying it out in terms of the graphics of like, we have the 3 people on Smash who are in the alliance and 3 people in Hulu who are in the alliance, and so like one person is going to have to go in no matter what. So it felt like, after they'd seen him kind of like draw this out on the whiteboard, they like recreated it for us early in the episode. I thought that was very clever of him.
They're good at the visual aids on this program.
Oh, definitely. That's one of their biggest strong suits. I like that. Was it Jonathan was at one point going to make a reference to the Ori character? Like, and we saw like him kind of like pop up in the corner for a second, and then Jonathan was like, no, we're done with that. We're not doing that anymore.
And at the same scene, if you actually pause that, like there was like a huge thing at the bottom that said like, we don't want to get sued.
Yeah,
this is the best we could do.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's the kind of stuff we got to see on second viewings. Yeah.
Or like every time that Caitlin says the word horse.
Yeah. Yes, that was. Oh, I love that episode. That was great.
Yeah. So there wasn't actually a recurring, like last week we had the Squire and we had Caitlin's horse, and we didn't really have one like that this week, and that was another thing I felt like maybe made the episode slightly weaker compared to the last few, but still highly entertaining, of course.
Yeah, I felt like we didn't get a recurring kind of motif. We bounced around a lot with some sort of fun visual things. That was good. I felt like we needed to hashtag Manhattan from the nerd off of some kind, or sort of like get that kind of laid out visually. That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I thought that needs to be hashtagged.
Yes.
Are we gonna have like 5 hashtags?
We probably will. This is an episode dripping with hashtags. I mean, we could have gone hashtag Shatner nipples. It's so many options.
Hashtag loin product. Hashtag Manhattan.
Tweet them all to us.
Yeah, we don't need one single. I listen to all of this hashtag. You could just like hashtag us in stages.
Yeah.
I'm totally good with that. So. Again, they didn't have a lot to go on going into this nerd off. They just said, puzzles, and apparently this translates into doing Sudoku.
Yeah, the nerd off descriptions or kind of instructions are always kind of intentionally vague, certainly much more than the nerd war, because they're supposed to have to find something to study, and so although in this case they were actually given like a little booklet of puzzles, and that was apparently all they were allowed to study from, which is a slight departure from other weeks where usually it's just like, okay, this is what I know I have to study, and now I just kind of have to Google some stuff and hope it works out.
Was there a better thing they could have been given to study for this challenge?
I don't really see how Sudoku ended up helping them in terms, unless it's just you look at it as like, well, it gets the gears in your brain turning.
Yeah.
But certainly a number puzzle had nothing to do with the word puzzle that they had to figure out, especially when it was trying to like decode a worded message.
What could have they given them?
See, we didn't like get like a good. I wish they put like a PDF of this book like up on the TBS website so we could take a look at this, because I want to know what else was in that puzzle book. All we really saw was that there was a Sudoku. Heather was implying that there was some crosswords in there, and so I don't even know what other kind of word puzzles or brain teasers would have been in there to fit in this sort of what would have qualified as appropriate study materials according to the producers.
Brandon, if they put the PDF on the website, they would actually have to care about the website.
This is true. They would have to imply that the website was for anything other than having to log in with your cable provider and give your social security number and the name of the street you grew up on in order to watch episodes of the show. So,
Mulder's made a name too.
Yes.
You know, they have nerds on the show. Can't they just get one of them to build the website?
I feel like they do a better job at maintaining kind of like Kayla has her, is it Knights of the Nerd Army, or what is it called, her website that she maintains?
Knights of the Round Republic, if I'm not mistaken.
It's something to that effect. We apologize to Kayla for not knowing that verbatim, but
Knights of Nirvana.
Knights of Nirvana, there we go. Yeah, so she maintains this kind of fan website, which is, in terms of a resource for the show, anything is better than literally nothing. So that's something that, she maintains. And we saw what Heather did with the Girlfriend for Thomas website that she apparently created in like 45 minutes while the episode was on. Again, Heather is incredible. So.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising.
No, she was dedicated to that little Tumblr site. I hope it's done good for Thomas.
Yeah, that's kind of adorable. All right, so they do the booklet of unhelpful Sudokus, and they get to the challenge. And we don't get a whole lot of the studying. This is one of my favorite segments on the show because it gives you it really sheds a lot of light into the interpersonal dynamics on the team apart from strategy. But it's like who is helping whom and who seems invested in making sure a certain person stays and who is just kind of like, I feel really bad for this person because everyone wants them out, so I'm going to go and like pay a little lip service to them.
The Ori to Todd.
Yes.
Example.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel it's interesting that they're apparently so concerned, the Secret Six, about not being seen together. They'd never really met to discuss strategy, and yet every week all of the Secret Sixers get together and help the person they want to help, and then one of the people who are left out of the alliance helps the person who's not part of the alliance. And this week, like, it could have been more a clear line. We had the Secret Six on one side, and then we had Caitlin kind of loosely helping Colby with Sudoku.
This hasn't been Caitlin's. Like, this was Caitlin's one interesting moment apart from her terrible zombie.
I've called her GameBot for the last couple episodes. She's actually shown personality this episode, and it's actually really nice to see.
Yeah, early in the episode, I thought she seemed like she was a little more chipper than usual.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I thought this was a nice, this is one of the first times they came back from a challenge or from the previous week's Nerd Off and kind of gave like a nice almost toast to the departed person. I think Amanda was talking about how she wanted to take up LARPing now as like a physical form of exercise now that she had met Orion and learned about his full contact LARPing.
Yeah, well, it's nice. They kind of bond over their various nerd segments, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of impressive because in every other show in the universe, you have one slot for a nerd. And in this show, everyone is a nerd. So
yeah, you can cover
see the full
many
spectrum.
More bases.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So we get into this puzzle, and one of the funniest things I saw on Twitter tonight was they get to this, post-apocalyptic cartoonish wasteland full of toxic waste barrels and body parts sticking out, and Zach observes he thinks it's the same body parts from Zombie Kerplunk from last season.
I thought that was funny.
Kayla thought the same thing.
Yeah, probably they're right. Yeah, I assume that this is a show that makes good use of recycling its props.
I want to see that warehouse. I want to go see where the King of the Nerds props. Like, there's just a big box and it's labeled body parts.
Limbs, yeah.
Limbs. They got like a jug full of the green stuff, and
Yeah, miscellaneous feet.
And you keep going, and then there's like Virgil's like outfit from the nerd anthems.
Yeah, schoolboy outfits, size Virgil. Yeah.
I want to go to this warehouse now. Can we like stop the podcast and I'll go there now?
Field trip.
Yeah, field trip to like this warehouse, and I don't know where it'll be. Van Nuys, let's say.
And way in the back, there's like the Raiders of the Lost Ark box, just because.
Yeah, that was the other thing we saw from Colby's night. I thought that he had a funny line saying, the "What's in the box" reference when they had the Nerd or the Nerd War introduction. We didn't know what was in the mystery box. That was funny.
Well, that was where my mind went as well. So I'm glad someone had the wherewithal to say it.
Yes.
So let's talk Nerd Off. There's some varying strategies here, and Colby makes an uncharacteristic error.
He does, yeah. I thought it was we had the kind of, again, reminiscent of Big Brother, the Big Jeff clown shoe incident at the end there, where he's thrown away what he needs and can't kind of find it. I was pretty sure that when they were going to commercial and kind of on the like da moment of like, oh my god, is he gonna find it? Like I was like, yeah, he's probably gonna find it. It's not people, but that was not something he typically does. I felt that I don't think Heather had the first idea of how to approach what she was doing here. Unfortunately, she seemed super lost. I'm not very familiar with the Manhattan Project. I appreciated Jonathan giving like a 10-second recap of what this was. I knew it like as a reference, but even like my limited knowledge of that, I when they said like at the bottom something about like the original project, I thought the word might have been Manhattan. So I'm surprised that Heather didn't seem to have the first clue about what exactly the puzzle she was trying to decode was.
And here's a quick thing. My approach would have been to tip over the entire like thing, the waist.
Do you know how much those things weigh?
I mean, your whole body weight, like trying to like take it down. I'm pretty sure it's not that big, is it?
Isn't it like an oil barrel?
It was big enough to contain Colby for Colby to submerge himself in. So clearly there was enough where he could just like plunge himself down to try and feel more of the tiles that were hiding at the bottom, or push some of them to the top. I imagine, that was pretty heavy. It might have been more trouble than it's worth trying.
That's true.
Let's nerd this out, guys.
Okay.
Yes, let's figure out the physics behind this.
A fluid barrel is roughly 30 gallons. That's what they had there. Do we think that the green sludge is heavier or lighter than water?
I have to assume it was heavier.
Yeah, I'll probably say the same thing.
How much does a gallon of water weigh?
I don't know these crazy imperial measurements you're talking about. Get back to me when you're talking about liters.
All right. I know. A cubic centimeter of water weighs like 1 gram, and it's a centiliter or something. No, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So 30 times 8, we have 240 pounds of whatever. 240 plus pounds, right?
Yes. So you're tipping over a rather heavy person in the water.
Tipping over Colby in a heavy suit.
So I think it could have been possible for Colby, but Heather, there's no way she could have done that.
She couldn't have done that. But Heather had she had the dexterity to jump into the barrel itself, so she had a little bit of an advantage there.
God bless her. Just go all in. If you're going to go into this challenge, go all in.
Yeah, they both were giving it their all. Unfortunately, sometimes it came, I think, kind of out of desperation or franticness. But yeah, they certainly were giving 110%.
Yeah, I think you just kind of lose your cool and you lose track of what you're supposed to be doing. And we've seen it a million times on every reality show. They get one of those super gross physical challenge things, and they get so caught up in the moment that they kind of lose track of what should be an otherwise easy task.
Yeah, it might have been a case of a little bit of overthinking for Heather in this case, because like I didn't hear from the rules, like did they need to fill in the like message part of the top? If they didn't have that filled in and you only figured out the word at the bottom, that being Manhattan, would they have gotten credit for winning?
Yeah, I believe I saw shots of Colby's screen and he didn't finish it.
He didn't, okay.
Well, you had to pull the letters off of this.
That's true. You had to pull them up and decode them. So yes, so he might have
At least mentally.
Yeah, I guess that's actually a good point. Is you had to basically finish that puzzle because they had the letters that you needed to use for the bottom puzzle to kind of, they were like outlined in like a red square. So again, you probably could have figured it out from there, but no, you probably did need to finish the top one, the top section anyway, to get to the bottom.
And looking at this puzzle to begin with, I thought, well, this is going to be Colby's to lose. And I was proven right. I felt very bad because we had to then bid farewell to Heather. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, again, just a disappointing loss for the entertainment value of the season, because I know that like you said, the show is going to be fine without her. There have been some great characters in the show, but none of them have proven, even somebody like a Zach from last season. It's not like season 2 just completely cratered with his disappearance. Now that was towards the end of the season. We are getting near the end of this season as well, but I don't think we're going to see a dramatic drop in the entertainment value of the episode next week without Heather. It's going to be lesser, but the other, how many people do we have left now? 7 left?
Yep, we're at the final 7.
Yeah, 7 left. I think they're more than capable of carrying the load.
Can we talk about that? 7 people left. How many episodes are left?
3 episodes left. So based on the math from the previous seasons, we probably have some kind of double elimination coming up. They did not imply from the promo that they showed at the end of tonight's episode that was coming next week, but it certainly could be, unless they're going to do some kind of extended finale, or if they're going to find a way to go into the last episode with 5 people. It seems crazy enough that they can go into the last episode with 4 people and get that done in an hour.
I mean, it has to be next week, right? Or the week after that they cut 2 people to make, if they're going to go into the finale with 4.
Because those are the only 2 episodes left before the finale.
Right.
So I wonder if that's sort of a last minute curveball they're going to throw at them, maybe in episode 7 or something.
Yeah, because it occurs to me they have one more person this season than they did last season.
Mm-hmm.
They do, yeah. The 11 number always kind of worked in their favor of an 8 episode order, and now that they bumped this up, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
So I'm guessing we also have I guess you can't call it a merge because we're not watching Survivor, but the blending of the teams.
Yeah, dissolving, I guess. Just moving to the individual stage. So, like, is there a portion of, I feel like I'm slipping on my Celebrity Apprentice knowledge. Is there like a phase in that game where it becomes more sort of an individual task, or at least like very small teams, something like that? So it's kind of going to be like a dissolution, a condensing of the teams as well as.
Can we possibly see both happen next week? A double elimination and the teams going away for good?
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. That would be a very exciting show.
Yeah, I think that's a lot for them to handle in one week, and I think that would be, they got to keep it fresh for season 3, especially when their challenges are being come up with this way of like, well, they're already playing games, let's do a games night.
Yeah, we can't handle many more of these. Like, all we need is an easel and a little bucket with a couple of slips of paper in it.
Yeah, there's just something to be said for them going outside and like feeling like they're using like a lot of space. I mean, like this week's Nerd Off was outside, but it felt like very contained and like kind of by design. It was not like they needed to like run all over the place to this puzzle. But I'm thinking back to the challenges like they were doing the kind of remote control car soccer from the first season, or when they were doing they were rolling the 20-sided dice down to knock over the knights. Like you're kind of outside and like it feels like more sprawling. I'm looking forward to maybe return next week to something kind of using more of the outside landscape. Again, like you said, maybe it was raining that day.
Yeah. Well, they could have blown their budget on like all the Monty Python props from 2 weeks ago.
That would have been. Or Penn. Yeah, yes. Penn does not work cheap. I'm sure his fee, his agency.
Really? You wouldn't know it from all the shows he shows up on.
Oh, I don't know. I think maybe just everybody got to have them some Penn, and they're willing to pay whatever they need to get Penn Jillette on the show.
That is an impulse. Believe me, it is one I fully understand.
Yes.
But, every time I see him pop up on like a lower tier show, I start to think, well, maybe I can just hire him out for my birthday party.
I think it's entirely possible. I think that like we kind of learned that in the summer that Gilbert Gottfried was on Big Brother as the voice of Otep, and that's when I kind of realized like, okay, so Gilbert Gottfried will perform at my office party. So now the question I have for you, Jess, is what is the ideal context in which we can use Penn Jillette on The Amazing Race? There you go.
Well, they've now had two different final legs in Las Vegas. I feel like it was a major disappointment to see them using David Copperfield for a Magic Challenge before they used Penn and Teller. So that seems like a no-brainer. And they go to Wayne Newton's house, and they don't go to like the Rio Theater.
Yeah, that's true. Apparently, like you said, that he'll show up on anything. I almost think it would be more amusing, like if they just kind of like put him in a costume and kind of like tried. I mean, it's hard to hide a 6'6" person, but if they just sort of put him in like native wear and had him just kind of like giving a clue out somewhere in Malaysia somewhere, I think that would be.
Make him a greeter in a totally unrelated country.
Yeah, I think that would be very funny if they had him on the mat and he's just standing there like, "Welcome to Laos," like I don't know,
just dressed up as animals.
Oh,
each leg as an animal.
I like that. Look, bring him along for the whole thing and dress him up as a different animal, and then we have our final memory test.
There you go.
There we go.
I hope Phil's listening. That he realizes that Amazing Race, what it's been missing all these years is Penn Jillette as the mascot.
Clearly they're willing to shake things up, but maybe they're just not shaking it up the right way. Maybe all they need to make the show better and get its ratings back, maybe they just need Penn in a bunch of animal suits.
I watch.
Think on that, Bertram Van Munster. All right, guys. So let's get into some power rankings here. Like, who do we think? I think it might be obvious at this point, like who's really got the best grasp on the game right now. But I want to hear your thoughts. Like, who's number one in the power rankings?
You go ahead, Mark, because I want a minute to think about this.
Can I say Hulavu as a whole?
You can say Hulavu as a whole.
Because I honestly think, like, especially if they like stay in like lines, I think it's very possible that they could just pick apart. Oh, we'll just take out Amanda this week, Colby next week, and then Jonathan the week after. So it's very possible. But editing wise, and in my heart at least, I want to say Jonathan. Jonathan at one.
Yeah, I feel like Jonathan is the obvious choice just because he's got majority alliances no matter which way he wants to swing.
The thing is, my worry is that he might get Cochran. That's my worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just is. I think at some point, not immediately, but I could see a scenario where, going into the final five or something. I mean, this is generally a move we don't see happen on King of the Nerds, where people come together and realize, like, okay, this is the last point we have to have a vote for who we want to see face the threat of elimination. Like, this happened last season. I remember I wrote this whole blog about how Kayla blew her whole game because she had one chance to turn on Xander and try and get rid of him, and that's it. Kayla blew it. She's going to come in fourth, and of course we saw how that worked out. So, I could be kind of terrible at making predictions for this, I agree that Jonathan's in a very good place in the game, and it's hard to put him at somewhere else than number one. But it's also like that's conflicting with just this voice in my head that's saying like, but he can't possibly win, can he? Like someone's got to be onto him. But if nobody's on him, then he deserves his eventual win.
If this was Survivor, I would feel more confident saying that Jonathan's going to win. This is King of the Nerds. The editing kind of will most likely end up being, Lily's going to be purposely our number one.
Yeah, I mean, it almost makes me want to say, like, well, Ben is doing a good job of just, like, flying under the radar and being everybody's friend, and I don't think anybody's going to vote him into a nerd-off. I mean, it's possible he does just because he's seen probably as the low man on the totem pole in the Secret Six. We talked about that in weeks past, but, this is just throwing, like I said, I'm already terrible at making predictions for who's going to get knocked out, and on all these alliances this season, it's not helping me.
Okay, here's an interesting question about the rankings. Where would you put Amanda at this point? Because I'm very conflicted, and I want to hope that she lasts, but I think there's a very possible chance that she might go next week or the week after.
I agree, and I think when we talked a few weeks ago, when we were initially kind of did some power rankings, I think I had Amanda at number 1 at the time. I don't anymore. My Amanda stock is I'm selling.
Come on board.
Yeah, I do think it's definitely possible that she could go next week if Colby keeps this streak up, and again, somebody from Team Smash is going to have to face him in a nerd off, and if Jonathan is able to keep the target off his head, then I think that Amanda is the next obvious person to put it on.
It depends a lot on what the challenge is, of course, but it's interesting you bring up Amanda at this point, because I think if anybody's got the gaming chops to look at Jonathan and see what a good position he's in, you would want to think it is Amanda, but we haven't seen a lot of that kind of strategy element out of her maybe in the last 2 weeks, whereas she came on very strong very early.
I think there's a very possible chance, especially with the Heather boot, that she might play this a little more emotional instead of playing it with a strategic brain. So I hope she finds out, like, oh, Jonathan's kind of in a really good position, because she cites people at, like, Amy Cusack, and she knows about Daniel Reyes. Like, I have hopes that she's able to pick this, like, see this target right in front of her and be able to, like, put aside friendships. I'm unsure. I'm really unsure with how the recent weeks have gone down.
Yeah, like we saw from her reactions, the nerd off, she clearly was on the side of Heather and was like really invested in her staying. We know they're friends and stuff. But yeah, Amanda's not the type of person where we're not gonna open next week's episode and she's not gonna be crying about Heather leaving and like, oh, that's it, like the game's over for her. If anything, I think that Amanda, very possibly could be somebody where this is the thing she needs to motivate her to start getting her head a little more in the game, maybe trying to set her sights on people in the alliance that are maybe not as much on her side as she thinks they are, and that could be trouble for Jonathan going forward. It's very hard to tell at this point.
Okay, how would you rank the members of Hulu though? Like, let's do the rankings. Let's say Jonathan's 1. Who would you put 2?
Well, Jonathan's not in Hulu.
I'm just saying in general. Like, who would you put 2?
Oh, okay. Number 2. Yeah, it's tricky to think of because I would have until this point said that Heather was number 2.
Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to, because like I feel like the people who might be pulling some of the strategic strings are not getting a lot of like face time, as it were. Like, do you think it's completely unreasonable to think that maybe somebody like Rachel is number 2? Because I feel like Rachel and Jonathan and either Amanda and Heather were kind of the people who are maybe behind the origin of this alliance. So even if we're not really seeing much of her,
I think you're missing someone else. Like, we purposely got the edit saying that, oh, Caitlyn was saying, oh, Jonathan, you should thank me for what just happened. It's very possible that that Caitlyn has some hole that we aren't seeing.
I think that's true as well, which would be interesting, considering we've been getting pummeled over the head with the Secret Six all this time, but obviously that we saw Jonathan say tonight that that's kind of done, and it's done in the sense obviously that now there are only 5 of them left. Yeah, it's Caitlyn. If Caitlyn and Jonathan were to form this kind of, if they were to replace Bobby and Curtis as the dynamic duo of the show, I think that would be very interesting, and I think a really good bit of strategy there to, I would be really impressed if they were able to kind of run with that in the weeks to come.
Like a June and Allison in a sense.
Yeah, almost. I was thinking that almost could have potential to be a Danielle and Jason-esque alliance in terms of its success going forward, that maybe people wouldn't really suspect them working together, especially because Caitlyn was so clearly one of the few people on the outs of the major alliance.
I want to back up for a second. I want to talk about Rachel, because Rachel is another person that's being talked about as being in both of these alliances.
Mm-hmm.
And my sense of it is, she might be on the bottom of the Secret Six, and that might put her in a position to be on the top of the counter alliance.
Yeah, like I wish we'd gotten more on that. I felt like we talked last week with Rob about how we wanted to see that force and kind of get like we wanted a little more clarity on whether or not that was a thing going forward, and we didn't really get that. And I wish we had gotten something to sort of a scene solidifying, firming that up as something that was really going on, because that group of four that was kind of loosely put together was not really referenced in this episode at all.
It's not far off to say that she was probably, like, I would say, like 5 or 6 in the Secret Six. Like, because if you think about it, like, we've gotten enough of the edit to think that, oh, Lily and Ben are most likely a pair. And we've gotten enough of an edit to think, oh, Amanda and maybe Heather are a pair.
Like, she didn't have as close a tie with anybody, which I think hurt her.
Yeah,
so I think she probably was like 5th.
Yeah, that's
and the only person in the Secret Six as it was that she outranked was probably Ben.
And it's interesting because being at the bottom of there and being kind of visibly at the bottom of the alliance makes her an attractive target. Like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and I have to go back and watch this again, but when Jonathan's drawing up his, like, matrix of who's with who and where, and he's got Rachel on his side in either situation.
He does.
Yeah. So that might have been just a subtle way to let us know that he's pretty confident in his connection with Rachel in terms of gameplay. So that's obviously where he wants to be in the game. So
I think that's fair. And Colby, of course, seems to not have any grasp of strategic gameplay and no real sense of self. I was shocked to hear him refer to himself as the leader.
Yeah, what does he think he's leading?
It's like, Mitch, you've just been in 2 consecutive nerd-offs. Who are you in charge of?
The board. He controls the board.
Well, he's also the leader of the Raps.
Yes, he's the Rap King. We saw last week. It's interesting to think about where he doesn't fit in anywhere in terms of strategy, because he's not playing any strategy, and that's not one of the tips he picked up studying for Jeopardy, I don't think. So that's not a component of that game. It's not totally shocking to me that he is fallen behind in this aspect of the game that everybody seems to have kind of figured out this season. So I have no idea what he thinks he's in charge of. He thinks he was just what he was on a high from winning that last challenge, and that was it. And it's giving him a person like that is going to get a little bit of an ego boost and be hyping themselves up, recounting these challenge wins. But no, I don't know what he thinks he's doing.
He was basically full Colby.
Yeah.
In terms of his attitude, he was going to the whole full Colby and the size of his head.
Well, he's got a way to go before he goes on a Zach-esque run.
Yeah, it's I think Zach had 3 in a row, and I think that's the record that he and Genevieve are tied at right now. I'm not sure. Did Genevieve go 3 in a row?
I believe so. Yeah, they tied the record.
I can't remember if hers was 3 in a row or just 3 total.
Wikipedia says 3 total.
3 total. Okay. So yeah, it's something I wouldn't put it past him. Again, like you said, Jess, it's going to depend on what the challenge is next week. That's going to make all the difference. So yeah, I feel so lost trying to speculate things about the show, because there's just layers upon layers. I think that it's not wrong, like you've been saying, that we're just going to get to the end of the season and somebody completely out of left field is going to win, and we're going to have to go back and watch the entire season and try to figure out what the kind of, not necessarily a winner's edit, because there doesn't seem to be a winner's edit on this show, but what the arc of the winner is. That's going to be interesting to figure out.
Like, it's not far off to think that Colby isn't. I mean, it's very possible that Colby lasts till the final the final episode with how well he can do in these nerd-offs. Like you guys said, it really just depends on what kind of challenge comes up. If it's something random, like let's say the next nerd-off is like the zombie plinko, I'm unsure. But if it's a challenge where Colby could sit down and understand the topic, I would probably put my money on Colby versus a lot of these people.
Yeah, the odds for him succeeding that way are not good, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. No.
Yeah, I mean, nothing is totally impossible. It would be kind of fun to see him go all the way to the end as just on his challenge strength alone. It would make him into the Aussie of King of the Nerds.
I mean, the equivalent of that right now is probably Genevieve.
Yeah, I mean, it's and Zach tried to do it last season. It got him farther than I think any of us thought it would.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's the best context that you want to be the Aussie of something in.
Yeah, also, obviously. And in regards to that, like, if we categorize Genevieve, Zach, and Colby, I think the common thing with them is they didn't exactly have a social game, did they?
Not so much. They ended up being a little bit on the outs of people, and we saw how the kind of jury vote went down in season 1, that obviously Genevieve did not have as many friends on her side as she thought she did.
Well, that's very true, but the end game could be something more akin to what we saw last season, where you had this big super challenge.
Oh, I think that's definitely true. They're not going to go back to the end game format from season 1, but yeah, I think that is something those three have in common. It's not the most personable people in the world. Not that Genevieve isn't perfectly friendly and all that, but yeah, I think she overestimated how many friends she'd made in Nirvana.
I've got a new dream outcome. Are you guys ready for this?
Oh, here we go. Let's go.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Colby makes it all the way to the end. He's in the final 2, and they get to the point where he's supposed to prepare for the Uber challenge, and you get to the point where you have to select people to work with you to help you train or to give you assistance during the challenge.
Yep.
Colby selects nobody. Everyone else works with the other person, and Colby wins anyway. That's my dream outcome.
Yeah, that would be great, and also would kind of, like, it would be the ironic twist, like we were making fun of him the first few episodes for the fact that Colby would try to train people and they would lose miserably. He would be kind of their mentor and studying for the Nerd Off, so that would be, you know, you come at the king, you best not miss. That would be fantastic.
Can you imagine the facial reactions? Like, I'm just so excited if that's the outcome that comes out. Can you imagine all the gifts of just Colby's reactions? You know what? I just beat all of you guys.
Yeah.
Gifts aplenty.
You beat Xander. You beat Xander in terms of gifts.
He's got like focus face. He's got triumph face. He's got beast face. We need a whole website devoted to the many moods of Colby Burnett.
I will get on that right after this podcast.
Fabulous. All right, so we have any parting thoughts, guys? Anything else we need to cover before we wrap this up?
I think we've covered everything pretty well. We babbled on a lot about a lot of strategy that I don't think any of us were probably equipped to decode as of yet, because this is just a tricky show in that aspect. Again, just another raising of our glass to Heather, probably in order, because should we be lucky enough that King of the Nerds All Stars comes a call, I think she's a first round ballot.
I'm pouring one out for Heather right now.
Yeah, she was great casting for sure.
Well, she's fantastic, and I definitely am going to miss her snarky comments.
Well, she's going to be back during the finale, hopefully, question mark.
Yeah.
It's looking, I don't know how if they bring everybody back last season, I can't remember, but I think given her place in the elimination this season, she'll definitely be back. Actually, one thing that we can talk about that has not come up yet, I know you know about it, Mark, I'm not sure if you, Jess, is the new quiz that I put together today with Amy from the Bachelor podcast. Over here on the Wrap Up Network, so we put together a little quiz for the final 8 King of the Nerds contestants to see who of these final 8 you most identify with. Mark, I know you took the quiz. Who did you get?
I got the sassy, the most lovely person that just got
We just eulogized.
We just eulogized her. I got Heather.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that you identified with her.
Can we get Jessica to do the quiz on air?
Well, that's the thing. I was going to have you take it.
All right, I can take the quiz.
I think we should do this.
Where do I find said quiz?
If I can get you the link, let me just. I know Curtis has been quite a good sport about publishing it. By the way, if you need a selling point for taking this quiz yourself, dear listener, Curtis described it as delicious.
Oh, wow.
So now you kind of have to. So.
Here it is. It's on Playbuzz, right?
Yes, it's on Playbuzz.
I found it in your Twitter.
Yes, you can go through my Twitter and find the link. It's I'm at Brenda D. Noel on Twitter. You can find it in there. And people have been sharing their results with us. It's been very fun.
I think you would also, if we're going to do this on the podcast, I think we'd probably have to read out the questions, obviously.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's pick the city you live closest to, and then there's pick a creature. I'm going with this hipster kitten. Pick your favorite science term. Absolute zero. Pick a pop culture nerd reference.
Moby does not approve. Oh no.
When does Moby approve of anything?
That's true. Moby approves is almost like the new, what was the meme from the Olympics? Yeah, like
the Kayla, yeah.
Press. Yeah.
All right, what does gravity mean to you?
My favorite question.
Zach Storch, I love it.
So many different ways to interpret gravity.
All right, and which past Nerds contestant do you relate to most? Pick a Nicole. And
I really could see that.
Yeah. Pick your favorite. Well, you kept telling me that last season, Mark.
I did.
Pick your favorite Moby song. Do I have to pick just one?
How can you choose? Yeah. We tried to give an option to pick two for people who just couldn't decide, but Playbuzz not having it.
Brendan, I'm pretty sure Amy was the one who did that question, because I'm pretty sure if you did this, it would have been 50 Moby songs at least.
I would not have cut it down so few quite bother.
Oh, guys, I got Heather too. That means I'm out of the competition as well.
I don't know what to think, because I did this knowing kind of what the answers were going to lead me to, but yeah, I did this and I got Colby, which I was not psyched about that reaction really, but I also kind of understood it.
I was just picking random buttons at one point, so.
Yeah, it's understandable.
I'm glad to see that all the King of the Nerds contestants at least finally have taken this quiz. It's really,
a lot of them did, and a lot of them got themselves. I know Ben got himself. I know Jonathan was at least trying to get himself, he was very analyzing this, and he was tweeting how would I answer this? So we made him really overthink his basic impulses, which was funny. It was.
All right, so you're going to tweet this out again so that anybody that hasn't taken this quiz yet can take it, right?
I will. When the podcast goes up, I will tweet the link back out, and you'll be able to take this quiz and find out which of the final 8 you relate to. Will it be dear departed Heather, like my co-host here? That remains to be seen.
It's been a really fun evening of hashing this all out with you guys, but we should probably wrap things up. So we should talk about, where do we find you guys when you're not talking about nerdy things on the podcast?
Brendan, you have way more to plug, so go for it.
Oh, you generally don't find me ever not talking about nerdy things, but no, if you do want to keep up with what I'm doing, like I just said, on Twitter at Brenda D. Noel, I occasionally have blogs going up on robswebsite.com about King of the Nerds. I will probably turn this quiz into a little post on the website, so that if you don't have to just tweet me and Amy your results, you can leave them in the comments as well over there. So that's how you keep up with me and my various thoughts.
And Mark Solera, where are you?
Well, if you liked my thoughts today, and if you just want to talk to me about King of the Nerds, I am at Thornspread. But if you hated my thoughts, you could reach me at Haymaker Hattie.
Hey, that's not fair.
Just reach out and tell me I suck. If I sucked, there's my Twitter.
I'll have you know, I get enough people telling me I suck on the internet on my own. I don't need your help.
That's a joke, by the way, podcast fans. I'm a huge fan of Jessica's. She's great.
Oh.
People on the internet are mean?
I know, sometimes people on the internet. If you guys would like to be mean to me on the internet, you may find me, I typically cover all things Amazing Race for Rob as a podcast, including a blog that I write once a week, and Rob and I do many, many podcasts about that very subject. You may find me on Twitter at Haymaker Hattie, and I also recapped Survivor and The Amazing Race for Previously.tv. So many reality show related things that you can get out of my brain hole at any point in time during the week.
Oh, she's great. She's great. Amazing Race coming back on Wednesday with a 90-minute premiere. Do we know when the first recap is scheduled for?
We have not yet ironed that out because Rob's going to be doing Survivor-related things, and we're working on booking a substitute to recap the premiere with me, and I will be tweeting out that information as soon as I have it.
Sounds excellent.
Yes. So, gentlemen, this has been a really wonderful time recapping King of the Nerds with you guys, and I hope that at some point, if Rob is ever indisposed, you guys will call upon me again.
I think we definitely can. This podcast was certainly much more fun than the average American dinner where we repress our feelings with a nice lukewarm meal.
I'll do my best.
Yes.
All right, so thank you everybody for tuning into this insanity, and thanks for sticking with us even through the Shatner Nichols incident. And do we have one unifying hashtag in all of this madness?
I feel like it's hard to go wrong with hashtag loin product.
All right.
In memory. And I usually when I'm watching the show in my notes try to keep a running tally of possibilities for hashtags. That was the only one I bothered writing down for this week. Even though there were different options, I just kind of felt like, no, mic drop.
All right.
And again, another fitting tribute to...
Pour out one loin product for dear departed Heather.
Yes.
We're going to miss you, ladies.
Oh, we're going to miss you.
So thanks again to all of you listeners. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Mark. And we will catch you all again in the next Reality Wrap-Up. Good night, everybody.